Hello, lovely people. I think our audio is on. I think we are streaming. Oh, I should turn off the Wi-Fi. That was always a problem in the past, where having Wi-Fi on. You gonna share something? I'm sorry to hear that, Telemont. I would love to share some of this coffee. I'm turning Wi-Fi off. Let's see if it doesn't break everything. We are plugged into the router, so hopefully this is not a problem. I'm sporting the Game Holcon shirt. Um, they had a beautiful green shirt. I had no idea. My first Game Holcon, I had no idea that the limited quantities of some things. Like they've got plush animals. They've got I think they're all designed by John Kovalik, and T-shirts. And it was Thursday at like the dealer hall opened at 10. I think by 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, I was told you better get over there quick. I'm like, what? It's a 4-day show. They can't be out by uh, Thursday at noon. But apparently, last year they had a plush owl bear, and that plush owl bear sold out very quickly. And they apparently they found a box of them or 2 boxes of them and had them at the table. So I think that caused a rush on the convention's merch table, and as such, lots of shirts and things like that sold out. So I didn't quite get. I don't wear bright colors like this. This is very medical division of Star Trek, no, Telemont, I did not see that note. I did not see that note. Was that today, or was that recent? It was a DM. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Let me I can load that up on my desktop. It takes a minute, and you're gonna hear my computer cry about it. But I think I can open that up and take a look while we are live here. If I can. What the heck did I do with it? Yesterday. Oh, I missed it. No, it's been a blur here. Still picking up the pieces from the burst water pipe things, and as it stands now, Monday they're going to come in and replace some carpeting and more flooring. So it's been a mess. I was supposed to go to the Twin Cities Comic Con. I should have been on a flight already to go to. I should have been in Minneapolis today, but it all got postponed. And the convention was very sweet about it. They run a bunch of other conventions. They're going to let me know about the next one I can apply that airline credit to. But my hair is all goofy today. Let me see. Discord is opening. And I'll check out that note. Is it so? It's a bot in our Discord or a bot here on the stream? Why am I asking? I can just read in a moment. But again, I'm still excited from having been at Game Holcon. Hopefully the cleanup goes smoothly. So far, so good. They've responded very quickly. This was not the case after the hurricanes, because when the hurricanes, everybody needed help. You could not get anybody. The entire state was hurting for repair people, and insurance companies were like, last year after that first hurricane, in between the two hurricanes, my car got hit in the parking lot, and could not get an estimate for the repairs on it because all the insurance people were just swamped. I didn't mean that literally, but I guess I do. What? Gotcha. So this is a person. Oh, I see. So they join random Discord servers and then just start spamming people. I wonder if I can. I wonder how I can prohibit people from reaching out to one another. I wonder if that's a setting. This is clear. Discord is clearly software that grew faster than it was ever designed to grow, and they seem to be caught flat-footed, and it's just the whole thing's cumbersome. Okay, well, I'm putting that on my to-do list, Telemont. I'm going to figure out how to alert folks. But have you experienced that from other servers as well? I gotta imagine that's gonna, given, I don't know, there's 100 people on my Discord server at most. That they're desperate if they're coming here. I don't think it's possible. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend that. Plenty of reasons for people to message each other. Yeah, I'll see if we can find announcements other people did. So you have a template. Oh, that's fantastic. That'd be great. That'd be great. All right. So today, the upcoming book, Prayer's Handbook, is going to be what you see here. I'm not used to the layout over there. Is the so far I'm very happy with this. I added a lot of shading to the face. It took it from being much more I don't know, like too evenly lit. It's kind of like my face in this lighting. It's very evenly lit. It's not dramatic, and so I kind of added more lighting to one side of the face and put a little more heaviness in there. I think it's better. Also added a few other little touches, like a kind of a sweep of blue behind the figure to push it forward and kind of subdue the background. Kind of it increased the distance because everything had that same kind of intensity. They all felt very close to this camera and very close to the reader. This kind of pushes stuff back a little bit. But I think I was hesitant to say it, but I think it's done. I do like the blue. I went in here and added a few more golden light, a little bit of kind of golden highlights to various pieces, just because I thought with all the gold objects and lights in the environment, there should be more glistening. So even though everything at the bottom of it kind of fades to a blue, because the whole thing at nighttime, everything gets a kind of a bluish tinge to it. So the grass has got a bluish tinge. And so I needed to make sure that the legs had that tinge as well. And but it doesn't mean they wouldn't pick up nearby light, even if all the atmospheric light is blue. And then, what else did we have? I can show you the golden color. This is kind of the daylight color. Still, I'm not entirely sold on this one yet. Things like the highlights that I put on the cheek, a little too bright, maybe. So the gold, this one might be a little bit different. I really like that the figure work it doesn't have that bluish tinge we were talking about. It's brighter. There's more of these beams of light. I'm not sold on which one is the soft cover and which was the hard cover. I suspect the daylight one will be the soft cover. I think. But yeah, I do appreciate that, Telemont. I can also show progress on the book from the last stream. The addition of a texture. So this is basically what was painted after we sculpted. So we sculpted, I don't even know if I have it in this document. We sculpted a book, painted over the whole thing to kind of give it more of a painterly look. And then over the paper, this isn't done yet. I think it's got to be brighter. Again, the pages of the book tend to have a bright white gray background, a very light color. So this book should pop against that. But I'm going to draw runes and pictures and like a D20. Everything in this book is going to be just, if you don't like seeing D20s and icosahedrons, this is the wrong book for you. But it's going to be tons of stuff like that. And I thought about doing that kind of Vitruvian Man, that the drawing that Leonardo da Vinci did of the person in the circle. And you sometimes see them, he's got the two arms way out and the two arms at the 2 and 10 and 4 legs, in kind of the shape of the circle. The idea of doing that, but make it a D20. I don't even know if it'd be recognizable in that way, but it's just kind of a silly design joke. And then I've created this grid. I brought this into Illustrator and applied a grid over it so I can use that as a guide for making sure that as I draw things on that cover, that they follow, or at least closely approximate, the flow of the book itself. So those guidelines will help me do that. But today we're going to design a new monster, a creature for the book. It's one of the things, in order to get the Kickstarter for the next book underway, I have to show some more examples of different artwork. And I've got a few other things, some works in progress, but they're kind of like, they're not ready for prime time yet. But I thought if we started something from scratch, it would be fun. The creature we're going to start today was going to be, I think, a big hulking creature. It is going to be a grognard. and I think it's going to be fun. The character, it's going to have it's going to have some intoximantic magic, and it's going to have a big barrel type flagon with it, like a cask with a handle. I think it's a large creature, but we're going to try to sketch that. And once I get a sketch that I'm happy with, we'll take it over to Nomad Sculpt, and we'll see how much of it we can sculpt today. And Telmont says, I'm having issues finding the announcements for the recent versions. Accusing people of doing horrible things. Oof. Okay, I appreciate it. I will take a look at that. I do appreciate that, Telmont. Alright, I switch goggles. This is just a generic template in Procreate. And hopefully the audio is okay. I've got a fan going here. Hopefully that's not interfering. I'm starting with my regular brush and on a light opacity over here, and we'll do some sketches, see if we can get a creature that's kind of cool. Different than hopefully the ones we've done before. The house is very hulking. The Buzzkill is very much meant to be like those 80s D&D cartoon monsters. Or creatures like Warduke and Kelek, designed to be very simple, and the Kegger was pretty complicated as well. But I think this is a big creature. Now in D&D terms, in gaming terms, a Grognard is a generally speaking, it's an older player who complains a lot. Apparently, it gets its name from the French units under Napoleon. I think I got this right. Who were complainers, and the D&D and its history of wargaming. These folks took up that title, and it's not necessarily a pejorative. It is a thing. Many of them call themselves like this. Is like they'll have the Grognard channel or something like that. To me, it just sounds like a monster. It just sounds like a. It's got the name. It's got that the hard G sound. But I think I want it to be somewhat derivative of, or at least evocative of, not derivative of, but evocative of older gamers like myself and my friends. The idea being that a lot of the grognards will talk about how great first edition was, or lots of complaints about modern systems almost for the sake of complaining. But given that the metadomain cleric is so meta, I wanted to pick, just like with Intoximancy and Death Dealing, I want to create creatures that are evocative of that, or at least related to the theme. And a Grognard seemed to be a good choice. So let's say he's got, and I was kicking myself because it's got the word grog in it, which makes me think I should have included it in Intoximancy. But maybe I shouldn't include any hint of alcohol in this. That ship is sailed. But I thought, nah, I can't really write things off just because I didn't include it in the first book. I was getting grief from some folks at Gamehole Con. Not real grief. They were busting on me a little bit because I had new banners featuring the cover of Intoximancy, and they were saying that the Intoximancer's tongue is very pronounced, and they were saying that it was sensual. It was like, I'm like, okay, very silly. But I was thinking about thirst trap should have been a spell. that Intoximancers have for sure. Don't know why. It's just tons of jokes that I missed out on the first book. So like, there's room for more. And after Intoximancy, people were like, "Oh, you should do another one." But now you do a drunken clerics and drunken barbarians, things like that. And my thinking was, no, I left it all on the field. There was not a lot of leftover material. If you know there's going to be another book coming up, you might hold back. You might think, okay, I got to save this for the Druids. I got to save this for something or other. And it's like, if you do that, that Druid book might never come out. If you don't put everything into the thing in front of you, you may never get a second go. So I'm much happier with just kind of putting everything into the books and hoping for the best. I'm going to lower the opacity like I do and start a new layer and start working on that. I saw that the Legends of Evantris Kickstarter ended last night. Over $4 million raised. And that is not including postage. They're going to get that on BackerKit. Which I worry that I have to do that with my next campaign. I like using BackerKit to keep sales going after the campaign is over, but BackerKit was really bad at handling digital book sales. It kept wanting to add shipping costs to them, so I ended up having to shut it down for death dealing. So I missed out on a lot because of that. I kind of like baking in the shipping cost into the initial pledge because then it's not a surprise. But that just means I have to be more upfront at the bottom of the page, saying basically here's what I expect shipping to be, and so more about that later. I'm just trying to figure out this character. I don't really know. I think it's got to have a beard. Again, I want this to be kind of hinting at older gamers and older players. It fits the concept. So the chin is less important if it's under the beard. Have that kind of ponytail. It's the I tell them I totally agree that it's the same universe that lets me get away with some stuff. That straight line is just occasionally the Apple Pencil tells me that it wants to be replaced. I was looking at reviews for a alternative Apple Pencil, like new tips of these things, like third-party makers of Apple Pencil tips. So I might try that next time around, see how they do. But hope everyone's having a lovely Thursday. Hope your Thanksgiving was awesome. For folks who don't know, my name is Steve Conley. I write and draw the webcomic The Middle Age, and I make TTRPG content for like Dungeons and Dragons compatible stuff. What did I say? Did I not say Halloween? Is my brain a mush? What did I say? Christmas? Thanksgiving? Arbor Day? I can't replay the tape. I said Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a lovely Thanksgiving last year. In fact, I hope all your Thanksgivings were great. Now, there's no way for me to sculpt these stray hairs, but I think we can do that. We can at least draw them. What do I got going on here? Been a lot of sales on on my website for Intoximancy and Death Dealing still. It's nice to see. Don't know what I'm gonna do for the costume of this thing. I'm going to flip this image. That helps me see mistakes. So I'm going to broaden them out. I like the kind of lunging forward. I think that'd be good on a mini. But I have to balance that out. That means that leg's got to be back. I don't like the balance of the figure right now. If this mug and hand are forward, both arms are forward, I want to balance it out with this leg being forward and the other leg being back. Like that. I'm really happy that the things I've been sculpting stand pretty well. I've come up with some pretty good balance for them. I just don't know if this is an aggressive enough creature. I feel like I want to... It's okay for a first pass, but we could do better. Let's go back to this kind of brutish shape and see what we can come up with. Bigger brush, smaller pen point. I mean, a lighter pen point, excuse me. So, have a weapon, sort of claws. I like the idea that it has the flagon. I don't want it running forward. I just want it stepping forward. Hey Dan, how are you? Good to see you. So I've finally been posting photos from Gamehole Con over on social media, about a week late. So I want this character to be kind of like it's got to be an older character, stocky. It's gonna be an older, stockier character, right? Humanoid. How's everyone doing? But I've been thinking a lot about Gamehole Con, and one of the reasons why I talked with Dan about this. One of the reasons why I'm trying to figure out why it's such a friendly show, and I think part of it has to do with the idea that our role-playing games are very collaborative. And the more I was thinking about it, the more it is. One of the things that's really interesting about Gamehole Con, about role-playing games in general, is that role-playing games don't. In comics, you have creators, and then you've got consumers, people who make the content, and then people who read it. And in games, you have people who create the content, and the game masters who create content, and the players who create content. So everywhere down the line is people who make stuff. And I don't know if that breeds more empathy in the process, because every player is making content, and every step along the way, everyone's a contributor. I don't know. It's very interesting in that way. The other stray observation was that the crowd at the gaming convention isn't as diverse as the crowd at a Comic-Con. And I was thinking about how anime helped shape that in comics, anime and manga. And I'm sure that helped in the gaming world as well. But how gaming has got Matt Mercer now in Critical Role, and I do think that will change things. Not in the way anime did, but I think more in the way that Neil Gaiman did with comics. Well, Neil Gaiman just brought in more readers and more diversity, and that kind of. I feel like Critical Role and Matt Mercer are maybe to gaming what Neil Gaiman was to comics, and in terms of its influence, in terms of how it's broadened the community, which is pretty great. And it's also a thing where I think that just because someone is a fan of Neil Gaiman doesn't mean they're necessarily going to want to pick up the Hulk comic, right? I don't feel like people who are necessarily fans of Critical Role and Matt Mercer, they might be interested in Legends of Evantris or Dimension 20, but they may not be interested necessarily in, MCDM's Flea Mortals, that sort of thing. But I'm very happy to be creating stuff in that world right now. How we doing? I'll put the ears. We'll rotate the head because we talked about that. We don't want 90 degree angles are boring. Unless you're creating a robot or an automaton or something, stay away from 90 degree angles. Okay. I think I have an idea for this now. Tillmont says, it looks like the printing from the Dungeon Dudes Kickstarter is in the printing stages. Oh, good for them. Have they distributed the digital version? Oh, yeah, a few weeks ago. Okay, that means it'll be eligible for next year's Ennies. That's good. I'm wondering about the... I got an email or a mass email from Amazon today about a upcoming D&D adjacent... I don't think they say Dungeons and Dragons, but I think it's... I think it's what's called Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill is the name of the series. It'll launch on the 16th of November on Amazon Prime, and it's celebrities playing D&D. I think first level characters up against a monster or something like that. It's unclear from the trailer. I probably need to watch it again. I saw it forwarded along the Twitscape, and so I need to check it out. I think I have to get better at creating these tabards in 3D because they are apparently I have to make one with every creature. No. We'll do armored. I don't think I've done a fully armored character before. So they'll have a breastplate. They'll be perfectly round, but we'll have the kind of like abs embossed into it in that excellent, ridiculous way. In a V shape. I think having this character heavily armored is the way to go. The VTT should be out soon as well. Oh, that's great. I think the Dungeon Dudes, the most interesting thing was I think they have a mad scientist class, or do they call it the apothecary? Apothecary. Alright, let's try this. It's starting to look like a clown. I don't want that to happen. Each time I do a new version, another pass, I'm going to flip this thing over and see how it looks. I like the idea of this creature having a ton of books. I think that seems to be the piece I need for this. So I have to work the books into the design in a different way. I'm not I'm like thinking, okay, the all the armor's made of books. Everything about the character's made of books. It's a bit much. The half moon spectacles and the stocky body will just make it look like Santa, so I can't have that. Um, yes, that's one of the ones I have noted in here. There's a rules lawyer. I don't know. It's either going to be the trouble with the name is that it's a bit much. So there are a few spells that might be in that. Uh, Part of the process of creating these things is I come up with a list of basically here's all the dumb puns I can think of or brilliant puns that I can think of, and those become just free association. Just make a list of everything that I can think of, and I keep a running uh, laundry list of all the various puns or plays on words or things that can hint at other things. Like in Intoximancy, there's a one that our flagons mean death. Something like that. I don't think that's a pun. It's just kind of a reference. And so there's stuff like that. There's rules as rewritten is a spell currently. There's a bunch of stuff like that. But I was thinking rules lawyer was one. The Grognard is one for sure. Boy, I can look up my list. I don't want to give away everything because, again, not all of it's going to make it in there. But it's a lot like the way I did with Hobgoblet or Tankard or Kegger. It's surprising that Buzzkill took as long as it did to come to. I like the idea of having this Grognard is absolutely kind of the antithesis of the Metadomain Cleric. I have one called Sheeple. I'm not sure how I'm going to use that yet. And there's also a Naysayer. Currently, Naysayer might be any IGH Sayer, so just like a person with a horse head. I don't know yet. There's a lot to do. I don't know if any of this will survive the process. No, how about this? This is better, I think. I like the idea of having one arm back, cradling a bunch of books. So the wrist would bend up, holding the books. Kind of a Hulk-like figure. I don't want it chiseled like modern CGI or, Marvel movies. I think softer, more classic pro wrestler, kind of like 70s or 80s pro wrestler strength. Because it's supposed to be older characters, and so I think the idea of an old school axe in their hand as well is kind of the way to go. So let's go back to that idea. Oh, let's make him more aggressive then. Okay, okay. Let's move the shoulders back. It's got an arm back. It's back. And okay, so... And then the books are tipping. Maybe one is almost falling over. And the whole figure's lunging forward. And suddenly this leg can be much more forward. Maybe even, I haven't done this yet. Maybe I just plant the heel on the ground. I haven't had the front of the foot come up. But I think that would make it feel more aggressive. Also, don't want this to look like the comic shop guy from The Simpsons. So I think armor. I want this to be I don't want it to be just a burn on anybody. You know, it's not that. That's not how I roll. I want it to be more like, I want this character kind of be kind of awesome, like almost like someone wants to play this character. And we have a tabard. Might as well. And then oops, wrong scaling tool. Let me select everything and drag it all down. I'm running out of room here. But the Crooked Moon campaign ended yesterday. $4 million. Very impressive. All based on a actual play show. Can't even call it podcast anymore, but just actual play. And I think part of its strength, the trailer's fantastic. Some original music. It's really good. I think I want that collar to go. The character should have a cape or not. I think not. I want it to be more warrior like. But really impressed with the campaign. Very simple tiers, but very expensive. Like, it starts affordable. Standard gameplay pricing of like nowadays for a 200, I don't know, 300 or 400 page book. It seemed like a very, very big book. The artwork in the trailer looks great. Very, very 5e. Luminous in that kind of modern digital art way. And it was it's a folklorish Halloween cursed woods kind of setting where it's haunted this and evil clowns, and it's very much playing on kind of the carnival horror tropes without being a carnival. Everything about like the jack-o'-lanterns and wicker men and spooky horror, like basically everything you'd see in a haunted house, like at a side of the road theme park. All that stuff taken to, slightly nightmarish or hinting at darkness, but never being dark. Like implying that you can take the campaign where you want it to go. Creepy, but not gross. Creepy, but not pure horror, or nothing that would scare away people from checking out the campaign page. Okay, I think this is good. I'm pretty happy with this figure. So we'll clean it up with another pass. So I think it was, not only do they have a popular live play, actual play show, but then they have got a Kickstarter. The campaign page looks good, and it's a real compelling, simple, easy to understand setting. A lot of these setting books that I've seen lately, I'm like, well, what's the pitch? Why would people spend a year in your world? Because that's kind of what you're asking for a campaign setting. Let's say 6 months. Let's say, why would a group of people spend 6 months in the world? Or are the tools you're giving to the dungeon master worth 6 months of a group's time, of multiple groups' time? And I think they met that challenge. I think they were like, oh, they clearly understood that. And it looked like they had 21,000 backers. So, a very impressive campaign. And they were at Gamehole Con as well. They had a table out in the hallway outside the dealer hall. And the folks from the show, from the actual play program, were there. And they were just trying to get people to be aware of their campaign. So it worked out really well for them, I think. I'm not sure if Gamehole Con put them over the... I don't know how much that influenced their success. They were already at $2.5 million, I think, before Gamehole Con started. But as I was working last night, shipping out more death dealing rewards, I had their campaign open in the other page, and they were streaming on Twitch. And I was watching just all the last minute backing coming in. It's like the last hour of their campaign was bigger than any campaign I've ever run. See if I can get away with this character having a monocle and not glasses. So one of the nice things about Gamehole Con was I got to meet a guy named Zeb Cook. Just posted a photograph that I took with him. He co-authored and I think he was lead developer, lead designer on many early versions of D&D, and almost so much of what I grew up reading. Every once in a while, I'll draw like these fingers, and they'll be a little loose. Like one pinky will be extended, very polite, and it's like, would they have that when they're holding an axe? When they're charging forward, I think the grip would be super tight, and so I'm changing the grip there. This will be, for simplicity's sake, this will be a two-headed axe. Oh man. More coffee. There's been so much work with the cleaning up the mess after that that home flooding, that water pipe bursting, that I've just been exhausted lately. I ended the stream a little early on Tuesday. I worry that I'm going to do it again here, just because I was exhausted. This weekend's going to be moving a ton of more stuff into a temporary storage unit and into just out of the way. So it's like a tile puzzle where I have to slide things out of the way and slide other things so that they can work on each room. Folks joining us late, it was related to a burst water pipe. But I've been playing catch up with a lot of these photos from Gamehole Con. I've got like a few more to post. I think I posted the one with the dungeon dudes already. Posted one today with Zeb Cook. I got one of myself and Chris Perkins. There was an interesting. I wish I had walked around when I walked around the hall of Gamehole Con. I kind of wish I had brought my books with me, so when I would run into people who I would then never see again, I could have given them a copy of Intoximancy. Also regret not having Intoximancy shirts made. Not because I think I could sell them, but because I should probably wear them. Clearly, more people know about Intoximancy than know about me. Putting a little more hair back there. Maybe a little unkept. Need to run errands. Hold me back before the stream ends. Tell lot, good to see you. Merch, merch, merch. Thanks for being here, Telemon. Thanks for letting me know about that spam bot. Or that spammer. My first sense when I looked at that note didn't make it seem like it was a spam. Made it feel like it was a, you know, an earnest person just trying. I mean, they were spamming, but it wasn't a spam bot. You know what I mean? That doesn't make it any less annoying. Well, maybe it does. But, well, I like that. Having that kind of bushy beard that kind of comes out a little bit. Again, it's just not, it's less natural, so it's more cartoony and will feel right for my kind of work. All right, folks, it's been doing this an hour. I'm gonna take a quick break. I will be right back. I just gotta stretch my legs. But so far, so good. We got the beginnings of a monster, or at least a creature. I think I want to push it some more. More to do when I get right back. I will see you all back here in a couple of minutes. Enjoy this art show by way better artists than me. And we're back. Hello, lovely people. Folks who don't know, my name is Steve Conley. I write and draw the webcomic The Middle Age, and I create TTRPG content like Intoximancy and Death Dealing. Links in the doobly-doo. My next one is called The Prayer's Handbook, and you can find out more about that at Cleric, if that works. There we go. And I'm designing a creature for that. I'm wondering if this should be an undead. The first TTRPG book I created was called Intoximancy. It was for drunken wizards, a boozy wizard subclass. The second one was called Death Dealing. It was for deadly card throwing rogues. And the next one, Metadomain, is for clerics who think this all might be a game. And if you check out that URL, you can find the placeholder Kickstarter page and sign up there to be notified when it goes live. I'm just going to draw on some swirls for the beard now, because when I get to the sculpting part, it will help to have some of these ideas in place. I don't want the beard to be, look groomed. It needs to feel wilder than that. So I think loose shapes with longer pieces will help. I am so far behind in Critical Role right now. I was a big fan of their Mighty Nine campaign, and they just got finished with a show in England. I can never remember if it's Wembley Arena or Wembley Stadium. It's a slightly smaller, it's significantly smaller of the two venues. Still just as impressive, but if you say the wrong one, you know, it's magnitudes larger, and I want to get that right. So it wouldn't have lips. I've got this lower lip there. It would just have teeths. So I guess the idea is the beard will grow out of the skeleton? So they'll need to have these kind of clear demarcation between the two. add, like for the mustache, I'm going to add kind of a longer bit down the sides. I think that'll make it easier to, when I get to the sculpting, to interpret that in a way that makes some kind of sense. And I like a good cracked skull. Arena? Oh, Arena. Gotcha. I was excited to see that sneak peek of your zine, Dan. I still mean to be meant to talk to you about some stuff offline. I guess I could wait till Saturday's episode of Mazes and Muses. Well, I do like I think the idea of this zombified version. I do like this. Surely there should be one missing tooth. How we doing? Oh my goodness, my back. Just hunched over art tables all week. When I wasn't moving furniture or all that other stuff I gotta do. I was thinking about, do I put gloves on the character? Because once you get skeletal, then, you know, am I supposed to make all these things like skeletal fingers? And you can buff them up a little bit and still make them look skeletal, but I feel like that's... See, that or I do gloves. I don't want it to be like Skeletor, you know, it's completely ripped and but a skull for a head. You know, maybe it's a muscle suit that Skeletor puts on. But sometimes I'm thinking about this a little too much. I like to look at that initial drawing of Warduke by Tim Truman, how little sense it makes. It's a character who's got half armor, has half like scale mail on one side, and no armor on the other side. Tons of weird choices, but they look great. Floating skull like Ghost Rider. You're a bunch of weird choices. How are you, Moose? But I'll say it again, Gamehole Con was great. And if you follow me on the Facebook or the Twitscape, you'll see photographs I'm finally posting from the event. Because his head is skeletal, I'm going to put armor on his hands and the rest of his body. So I think this is going to be the what we'll sculpt. I'm going to put some wood grain on there. But I was really impressed with that Crooked Moon Kickstarter. $4 million. It's remarkable. Man, oh man. Some of this music gets real peaceful. I find myself dozing off while drawing. I don't know if anyone else ever experiences that. I will sometimes wake up. I'll doze off while drawing. I think I did on the stream a few weeks ago. I think I was drawing and I just kind of I just kept going. I'm going to tweak something here. I'm going to flex that down a little bit, just to kind of hint at the carrying the thing. What do we got going on here? So there was no episode of Pencil to Pencil last night. Jamar and I are taking a quick break. And well, Mike is recuperating from his health issue, which hopefully he's gonna be perfectly normal real quick, and we can pick up the episodes where we left off. But we do have a big guest planned for the 29th. I can't really say anything about it just yet. Fingers crossed we'll have the whole team there. No, let's do this. Let's get rid of the tabard. I like the tabard. Maybe there's a torn up cape, but I like the idea. We had a sketch early on where it had the muscles kind of embossed into the chest piece. I like the idea of a very round chest piece with like designed for a very large stomach, but having the armor embossed into it. Basically what you get from Spirit Halloween in the Barbarian section. Or so I'm told. I don't get out much. And then for the Impure Skeletor He-Man fashion, we'll put fabric down here. Kind of a loincloth. I wonder if we could do like I haven't done a fur cape. I wonder if that would work. For folks just joining us, this is a creature from my upcoming book, The Prayer's Handbook. This creature is called a Grognard. When it comes time to sculpting, I think I might just do a couple of books and then flip them and flop them as needed. So in the sketch, the books are laying flat. I do think that will help with printing, but I also think they should teeter forward. They shouldn't just be leaning side to side. They should be leaning on the y-axis. Y-axis? On the z-axis. I could see changing the axe to something to some other weapon. So far, so good, I think. So this armor chest plate here will have muscularity built into it. And I'm thinking there'll be a cape back here. Excuse me. That looks pretty good. I can live with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a just to my photos, and then I'm going to bring that over into Nomad Sculpt, and we can start sculpting them. I'm not sure. Does it need anything else? I mean, we could put... I put a skull on that medallion. I figured there'll be 2 medallions. It's possible that the big fluffy cape could extend up. I'm not sure what else is there. I think this is supposed to be like... I was drawing some other metal or other neck plates or something. Does not need it. So we can have more skulls. Always more skulls. That's what Warduke believes. Alright, I'm going to save this over to Nomad Sculpt and we can start sculpting. Unless y'all think... Is there anything else I need to add? I can add texture to the armor in the other program. The axe by itself will be a real pain in the butt for people to print. I imagine they'll have to 3D print the hand, maybe the whole arm, and the axe separately. I like the falling books. Yeah, so that's the sketch of the Grognard. Let's sculpt this thing. I'm gonna hide the iPad screen for a second while I do a little bit of juggling here. What I do is I do a screen capture of it. I don't export the thing as a JPEG. A screen capture puts it right into the photo library, and then nice and small I can crop it in. Save, or just hit the done button, then open up Nomad Sculpt and I can import it into the background of Nomad Sculpt. So let's do that. A new document. Okay, now we're back into the iPad screen, and that image has been brought into the background. And now we'll sculpt that, or die trying. a dice pouch on it. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I like pouches, any of that stuff. Yeah, this feels pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this thing so far. I had no idea where we were going with this. I had some notes written down, like, what do I have? Badass, powerful, ponytail, beard, worships the old ways, large terrifying creature, possible backpack. I did the axe. Was it just something because it should have that badass, powerful. I feel seen. It's for you, Dan. The resemblance is striking. This is a Sunday morning at Gamehole Con, Dan. Okay, so to start, let's save the file. And then I will add to the scene an existing mini Cirquimp. No, we'll, yeah. Any low-res figure at this point. Because for some reason this program has decided to start creating the initial sphere very, very small. So let's delete that guy. We'll add a new sphere. We will increase the post subdivision. We will validate, and then we will scale the thing up. And then I will add to the scene a new file from on my iPad Nomad. Where's my platform? And that is a basic platform, a 1-inch platform. It has the middle age embossed at the bottom of the disc. And we'll start there. This means I can... Oh boy, let me see if I can do this again. I think perspective is on. We don't want that. We want orthographic. We don't want the thing to be working in perspective. It's a lot harder to work that way. You could turn perspective on at the end when you want to export it as reference or create a cool video or show how foreshortening makes the hand look so much bigger than everything else. But in terms of sculpting, that perspective really makes things a lot harder to work with. So we'll get rid of the Quimp Mini. We don't need it for now. That was like my second sculpt in Nomad Sculpt with that Cirquimp image. And that's where undo. That's where I found out that, oh wow, I can sculpt, or I can approximately sculpt. Now this is supposed to be a large creature, so we're going to double the size of the disc here, changing the scale to 2. Then we're going to move its origin. So let's start with when I create these figures, the first thing I do is I create like a balloon animal version of them. I want to use basically circles and spheres and create the shape and get the gesture right. And then once everything is roughly in position, it's plenty of time to tweak it later. Once I get everything into position, then I can worry about the modeling. But yeah, I don't want to. It would be real easy to dive right in and start working on his face. But it's sort of like an illustration. You kind of want to get the gesture right before you get caught up in all the other stuff. Okay, so we will assume that's the head of this guy. We'll add another sphere. We'll clone this. This will be the torso. Clone that again as a shoulder. Clone that again. We'll make a bicep a bit more vertical. Let's do this right. I'm going to hide the first two. I'm going to build this arm roughly where everything should connect. Drag. Drag up. Clone that. I don't worry about the hands right now. The hands are just going to be a circle. I'll sculpt the fingers and all that stuff later. Clone. And these, I'm going to try to see how quickly I can build this thing, because I got a lot of requests at GameholeCon about, hey, could you sculpt our characters? Because I don't think there's a lot of sculptors there. That's something I didn't realize going in there. They were sculpting companies, companies which sold terrain, companies which sold figures and things like that. But there wasn't anybody there who actually does that sort of thing. And again, I'm very new to the sculpting thing. But that was super interesting. Okay, so we have an arm. It's goofy, and it's a monkey arm. It's very, very long. So I'm going to move this up, and I'm going to connect those two together. We're going to just join those, and we're going to adjust the pivot point to up here. So when you rotate it, it rotates up at the shoulder, not down in the middle of the thing. And then the elbow, which normally I don't need an elbow in there. I could just affix that to the other thing. And we'll have to move the pivot point again. Then the forearm will move up, adjust the pivot point till it's inside the elbow, and we will make it a child of the shoulder, so that when we rotate the shoulder, the elbow moves, the forearm moves with it. And then we'll connect the hand here, make it a little more vertical, just a little, and we'll make that a child of the forearm. And we'll adjust its pivot point up a little bit so that when it pivots at the wrist and not someplace else. So the whole thing should kind of hopefully work as an arm. Again, my sculpts don't look naturalistic. I kind of don't cartoon that way. I don't draw that way. So everything's going to be a little more cartoony. I kind of like that. Things are a little bouncier, hopefully a little more lively. Hey, Eric. Don't tell them you're new. Oh no, I appreciate the thinking. I'm terrible at business. I tend to be honest, and all right, so we're gonna have to lean the whole torso forward, right? Because this is not just the torso we're building. Normally I build it like an action figure where you have up to the belt, and that's one piece, and then you've got the let's do that. Let's do it that way. That might be easier when adjusting these legs, and we can fuse things together later. Especially given this is a much more aggressive action pose than some of the other things I've done. I tend to have the characters acting fairly hesitantly. So we'll clone this down, and this will be the pelvis. I'm not duplicating the legs or the arms of the legs just yet. I'm going to create a single arm. I'm going to create a single leg. And that will be our pelvis. And all this stuff's going to get fused together later. The whole point of this, everything at this point is just about trying to get the pose right. We'll clone the sphere again. This will be the thigh. We'll clone that. We'll create our knee. Clone that. Make our shin. Hide the platform. And we'll clone that again to make the foot. I did not like how long the software thought about that. I trimmed that bottom of that sphere down, and it took a moment. I'm going to hit the save button as a precaution. So for charging for sculpting, my thinking is I would just charge them based on my time and my level of expertise. I don't mind that I tell them that I'm new. I told them, you know, I also want people to know that, you know, what my strengths are, hopefully, and what my, you know, if I'm not right for a project, I don't want to get the gig. Let me see if I can mirror this locally. That's what I wanted all along. I don't know why I was adjusting everything else globally. I go in here, hit local, and then when I scale it in, it scales within itself, not to the world. I'm not sure if any of that makes sense, but there we are. Okay, we'll do exactly what we did before. We're gonna, in this case, we're gonna start naming stuff before it gets out of control. The knee. I wonder if the knee should be connected to the thigh. Let's do that. Let's connect those two. Sorry, knee, shin. And we will adjust the pivot point if we can. Sliding it up to the middle of the knee. For the thigh, we're going to move the pivot point up to the pelvis. And then the foot, we will make a child of the knee. And we will push the pivot point back to the ankle. So when it rotates where it's hopefully where it should, and the knee should rotate up. I made the foot a child of the thigh and not the knee. So that's the foot rotating, the knee rotating. I did it again. Come on, boom. Now they're connected the way they're supposed to be, and the whole thigh should move the whole foot. Great. How we doing? Tell them on. Oh yeah, I think I'm very happy with the illustration so far, and so I think I feel comfortable just trying to sculpt this thing. I'm gonna move this pelvis up. Where's the? That's the chest. I'm going to make the pelvis a child of the chest. So when we move the chest up, the pelvis will move with it. Then I can move the thigh up. Look at on the side. The head will come forward. It needs a neck, even though this character's got a very... Even though this character's going to be leaning forward quite a bit. That's the arm. which will be also a child of the chest. Shoulder. Forearm. And then hand. We're going to save again. I'm going to sip some victory coffee. Thanks, Toma. So it'll be a large creature. It'll be like, so, on a 10-foot square, towering over the other figures. I'm going to clone this arm if I can. And I'm going to mirror it. I really, really hope it's one of these days they let me mirror the pivot points of all this stuff. I can't mirror it all together. I'm going to have to do it one piece at a time. That's fine. World, flip object. See, the pivot point stays put. Can I lock it? Oh well. So I'm going to have to manually adjust these things. That's fine. Let's undo the cloning of this. Let's see if I can fix this in another way. Let's take this, rotate it back. So we currently have a rotation score in there of 30. I'm going to bring that back to 0. That should make it more vertical up and down. Now I'm going to select the whole thing and we're going to clone it. And now we're going to flip the pieces. Now it should be easier to deal with the alignment of everything because everything's on the XY coordinates. Maybe? Fingers crossed? The pivot points aren't going to move, but that's okay. World selected, flip object. World selected, flip object. World selected, flip object. Now I'm going to reset I'm going to center the pivot point, then move it roughly back up where it was before. So the forearm, pivot point, center, move it back up into the elbow. This is turning out way easier. I'm glad I kept things 90 degrees. Pivot. Now when I move the forearm, the hand will move with it. Great, great, great. And now we can move stuff. And we can do the same thing with the leg while it's still vertical. But the shoulder we can rotate out. So we'll do the same thing. Looking at it from the front, we will world flip object. And if any of these things are off, I mean, you see how little time it takes to create these things. So I will just, if I have to tweak something, I will center the pivot point, move it up. Center the pivot point, move it up into the knee. And then for the foot, we will center the pivot point, move it back up for the ankle. And now the foot, the leg should all move. Great. Okay, so that's roughly our figure. Super, super rough. Let's put a neck in here. Aim that head. Clone that, bring it down, extend it up, drag out, now what's interesting is that the head is subordinate to the neck, so Ooh, I shouldn't link those yet. I have to move the neck first. Once the neck is in position, a little back. Make it a little more squat to give the neck a little more heft. The head is subordinate to the neck. So the neck, we will gizmo tool, so pivot. We'll slide the pivot point back a little bit, down and back a little bit. Oh, I rotated it. And then the head, we'll move the pivot point back. So it's closer to where it would be, not further back, not the jaw, but further back, like under the ear. Now, for the sake of my sanity, I know these are just spheres. We don't have to worry about them just yet. I'm going to bring a jaw forward. Let's get our platform visible again. And the neck can be subordinate to the chest. The thigh can be subordinate to the pelvi. So now when I select the chest, on the gizmo tool and hit the front, I can bring the whole thing up. Right? Alright. How we doing? I see some people on Twitch, it looks like. I don't see anybody over on the YouTubes. I think I saw some people there before, but if you are popping in, folks are popping in and or out and checking out this stream, I appreciate you being here. I'm going to slide the shoulder in a little bit on both sides. Again, nothing's fixed, but the idea would be I want to have one shoulder forward, one shoulder back. So let's try to get the pose right if we can. For the face, I just want to take the crease tool, very small brush. This will help me see where things are in the figure, and if as I move things, I got it a little more centered. It will help me know where stuff is. Okay, we'll save again. Let's do a thing here. We're gonna save, and then we're gonna save as. A little early for me to be making a clone, but I want to keep the initial version we have there just for a moment. We'll see if I can get this pose just right. Alright, so now the torso, we want the pivot point to be at lower, like at the belt. And as I move the torso, everything's going to move. But we want the whole figure to be leaning forward. Kind of aggressively, we want the neck facing forward. So the head facing forward, so the neck has to be pointing up a little bit. This arm, oh, change that. This arm is, rotate the torso like this. I swear it'll make sense in a moment. The idea of rotating the torso is that the arm with the books is forward and the arm with the axe is back. So the torso, the pelvis will rotate the other way, which is always good. And that leg comes out a bit as it's running, rotates a little. I guess the shoulders are more square on than I thought. Let me move the. Oh no! Wait. Let's do this. I like making sure both feet connect with the ground. In this case, the heel of the front foot and the just the toes on the back foot. That kind of will hopefully help everything balance properly. Usually, I like that front foot to be planted. It's probably better to have that for the mini. At least have the heel fully planted on the ground, even if the front of the foot comes up a little bit. Again, I've got the neck selected, and I'm just rotating the whole neck off to one side just a little bit. Again, to keep us off of right angles, because right angles are boring. The back arm could be back a little more. Be out and rotate it in to hold the books. I feel like that arm is forward a bit more. I'm bringing that forearm down just a little bit because it's going to have to cradle some books. Out a little bit further. I like the pose. It's very energetic. I do think the belly could be more pronounced. I'm going to make sure that symmetry is on for the object, local symmetry, not world symmetry. When you want an object that's you've moved, if the thing is along the main axis of the universe, that's fine. You can keep symmetry, however. But once you move it off the axis or rotate it, you want it to be local mirroring. I can show you what the difference would be. In this case, you see both sides moving evenly. Let's say we're making them Cardassian. Both sides are moving. If I made it world symmetry, suddenly the shoulders they're not symmetrical to each other not to the object but to the universe, and we want it local, not world. Okay, so let's bring the chin, so local, bring the chin down a little bit. The axe would be easy. The hand's going to be tricky. I like the large hands. It's very Jack Kirby. I like the idea that the characters kind of, at least for purposes of the illustration, I like the idea that the legs are just really cartoony and in the air. This has a Chris Bailey Major Damage vibe. Chris Bailey has a YouTube channel. He's an amazing animator, and He's done tons of stuff, but you should check out his. Let me. That niche. I should have made the knee connected to the thigh, not connected to the calf, not to the shin. You can see the. I'm still learning, but it's all right. Now the idea is we can build the individual pieces, like we can build each arm, we can build the hands, we can build the head, and then just slide them into position roughly into position on this model, and if it has even a fraction of this energy, we'll be in good shape. And I think it will stand too. I think if you printed this thing out even without the base, I don't think it would fall over. Well, maybe the foot would have to be a little flatter. But we're going to cantilever some stuff. We're going to have the axe going back a bit, and we're going to have those books going forward. But I like the idea that they're kind of resting against the chest and sliding back with the momentum. And then there's the big furry cape. I've never sculpted a big furry cape, so I have no idea, over a loincloth. So I have no idea what I'm doing there. But this will be fun. Cave! Nice to see you. We are sculpting a monster, a creature for the cleric subclass book. This is a grognard. You are our own Edna Mode. Edna Mode, of course, is a character from, I want to say, Fast and the Furious? Okay. So let's sculpt the face of the grognard. The terrifying grognard. So I'm going to enlarge our background art here a little bit, our little reference. We will scale it up so I can see the guy. It was fastest and furiousest. I believe that was what it was. Number 27. How the hell are you, Cave? Everyone should be following Cave. Wait, that was a mistake. I have to leave this centered on the universe. Move everything, not the object, because that way it just makes everything so much easier as I build this guy. Alright. So we start with a sphere. We grab the drag tool and we start mushing stuff. That's the technical term. Mushing stuff. I'm going to voxel remesh to give us a little more to work with here. I get that. I know you're in the job searching world right now, and that can be frustrating as hell. So grab the clay tool, symmetry is on, we're going to subtract, we're going to dig in some eye sockets. I'm going to remesh this again, get a little more to play with here. I started that badly. I want to make sure I start these with evil eyes. I'm going to build up some more before I start digging in. For a skull, I would normally be breaking in pieces and separating things. I'm not going to do that just yet because I know this skull's got a full-on beard. So I need to create enough material for the beard to attach to. So I'm not going to quite hollow everything out the way I normally would. Maybe I will, because I gave the character kind of an irregular smile, there's a slight slant to the face and the teeth. I like the idea that the skull's got a plasticity to it, a little bit of elasticity, so that it can have some character. Bring the jaw out. Let's get the clay tool again. But Cam, I think I didn't realize that. I don't think we managed to get a photograph with you at Gamehole Con. I'm kicking myself about that. So looking through the photos, I had photos of it with everybody, but I didn't have it with you. So, next one. I should have cloned this before. I'm gonna do this again. Add a sphere, validate it, gizmo tool, slide it up. I did this before and I really like the effect. I use a separate bit of clay as the source for the beard or the facial hair, and by sculpting it separately, I get to move it around a little bit. I get to play with it a little bit more. You didn't take pics with anyone? Yeah, I could have gotten one with you and Perkins. I didn't do that. I'm really kicking myself. I'm going to just change the color of this a little bit so I can see it. I'm not concerned about the final color of it all. Ooh. This is going to be a larger figure, so I am more concerned about like the actual modeling of things. I think it'll be more visible. I'm going to sculpt out some of this stuff, like the sides of the skull. So you get a hint of the temple. How we doing? I'm gonna name these things skull and beard. So I'm trying to see how far I can get in a single stream. We sketched this character from scratch. I really had no idea when I started this. I mean, I had some notes about the shape of the thing. I knew it had to have a beard. I knew it had to feel like an older figure, but I didn't have much beyond that. I didn't have an axe. I didn't have a stack of books. I didn't have a skull. The first version I sketched of this guy had like kind of, probably was more like a, I don't know, I forget. What is that character that Caduceus plays in the Mighty Nine, or the shop owner in season 2? I forget, but it was much more like a large fawn, or a large, much more animal, and not human. But I really like the idea of it being a undying creature. It fits better with the concept. It's a little severe. I'm going to lower the pressure there and undo some of that. So for purposes of this, we're going to put in a crease. Let me hide the beard for a moment. Oop, I don't want to paint while I draw. Yeah, exactly. The idea that it's just a really old veteran. That's why it's armored. Like, the idea is this is a hinting at past glories, many adventures under its belt. It'd be real easy as a person who plays and really enjoys the modern game and kind of the less adversarial take on D&D, to kind of take pot shots. I'd rather not do that. Because I do, I do appreciate the older games, but I think there has been an innovation in recent years about making D&D and role-playing games in general less adversarial and more nurturing. I think that's kind of Matt Mercer's kind of big contribution, is that he's made a dungeon master who's kind of a support character who kind of supports everybody else doing their thing. It's not just being the person who presents all the obstacles that the characters have to face, but more of a person who helps characters actualize themselves, and players lets them create the story they want to create, which is neat. Less of a it's my way or the highway approach, which was absolutely the way a lot of D&D was for the longest time. It's really interesting, role-playing games in general. The whole idea that it's 5 people sitting around a table and 4 of them are playing the game. 4 of them are players and one of them is a dungeon master. Like, is the dungeon master not playing? It's this whole other role, and so it kind of changes. There are weird dynamics there. I haven't read enough game theory to understand fully what's happening. I'm going to remesh this one more time. Clay tool, small brush. Let's do some dental work here. All right. Well, I'm going to separate these teeths. I'm going to save, sip some coffee, and I'm going to split this into pieces. Tillamotte says, some people forget that it's a game for everyone and not a single person telling a story. Yeah, but it was like the way modules and adventures were back in the day, Barrier Peaks, or heck, anything, Keep on the Borderlands. It was like the Dungeon Master got the adventure and would read the adventure to you, and you'd go into a room and the Dungeon Master would read that part of the adventure to you. Like when some players, and then the Dungeon Masters still seem to have this idea that if they're not keeping you at the brink of death, then they're not challenging you. I had this conversation with my Dungeon Master because I felt like there was a bit of that in the game where I feel like modern D&D, with everyone's a superhero, that you can do that more like Star Wars. I feel like Star Wars is Dungeons and Dragons 5e. The characters are never really in a ton of danger, but the NPC wizard gets killed. They have to save the princess. It's never them themselves. I mean, the trash compactor getting out of the trap. It's very much the guards can't hit them because they're high armor class. How much danger are they genuinely in Star Wars? It's not till like the next one where things get, you get critically hit and lose a hand. I feel like that's kind of more analogous to the way D&D games, the ones that I run. I've only run a handful, but I tend to, you want to put somebody else in jeopardy. It's not the characters who are in jeopardy. It's they're doing something heroic to save somebody, save a kid, rescue something, return someone's stolen property. You're giving them every reason. I had my note for my game was give them literally every reason to care or every reason to take action. So if you've got a character in there who doesn't care about anybody else, you give them a monetary reason to do it. You have people who have their, it's a rescue mission and a full of reward. Take care of your Han Solos and your Luke Skywalkers. So why do all the human-like monsters of yours have skulls for a face? Well, skulls are just easy bad guys. The Hobgoblin has a kind of a koboldy face. The Great Red Flagon looks like a dragon. The Kegger looks like busted up wood. I'm trying to think what other. The Buzzkill's got a skull for a face, and so does Kevin the Illegible from the Middle Age. Yeah, I don't know. But those aren't human-like. What are the human-like monsters? That's really interesting. I don't know. That's a very good question. I guess I could have made one more animalistic. And that's where the sketch started. This was really felt appropriate for the style. I think it's... I'm not sure if it's enough... If we have enough of a sample to go on just yet that it's a trend of mine. But you've just altered the experiment. So I imagine the next one I do is going to be a very wolfen character. But also humanoid. That's challenging too because yeah, I've sculpted elephants and things like that. But as soon as it's got 2 arms and 2 legs, is the house humanoid? Or is it just why don't any of the why don't I like making why don't I like sculpting noses? Okay, so let's hollow this guy out a little bit just to separate the jaw. So we will use the split tool here and the lasso. Lasso? Let's do polygon. So we draw, and that connects, it creates 3 points. I want these to be straight across the teeths. Bring that down. Bring that up. I'll adjust the pivot point to be higher up here. This really should have been, well, we'll see once the beard is in place how all this goes. Maybe it should just come down. Symmetry on, local, not world. Although I probably could do both at this point, and drag tool. We will just lift up parts of this so they connect properly to everything else. The buzzkill is hell. The last session I played, a character was the tank, so I was in front and literally took a turn to throw some fire at one of the kobolds. Then right after a shaman kobold in the back one shot me, and nobody had healing. I spent the rest of the session doing nothing. Oh, that's interesting. So you were so oh yeah, Telma, absolutely right. Those yeah, if playing the game people want to play, if people want to play that kind of combat game and really want to treat it like a war game, like strategy, like here's this impossible task and you know do your best. And Ogrugnar. Sometimes they're good ideas and you just can't pronounce them. And if I can't pronounce them, I can't do them. It's like it has to be like. I had a couple of that after the Hobgoblet, which is kind of a high watermark for stupid. A low watermark? A septic mark? It was after doing the Hobgoblet, I'm like, okay, I can come up with some other stuff, and it's like it was just too hard to pronounce, so I kind of let it go. Ogrognar. Ogrog. Now let's do this solo. How are we doing back there? Okay, good. Let's remesh. Keep sharp edges, sure, why not? Let's get rid of the second tooth on the right and on until morning. Symmetry on? Symmetry's on. Turn that off. Symmetry back on. Tell you what, I'm going to undo that. Let's keep symmetry on. Let's get everything in position, and then I can futz with removing teeth. Oh, Grognard. That's fair enough. Oh, look at him there. He's a Grognard. But I was saying before, I kind of regretted not having a Grognard as part of Intoximancy. Just the word Grog in the title. That would have been real easy. So these creatures are going to have, Grognards are going to have a bit of Intoximantic magic because of that. Small brush on this. I'm going to try... Ooh, I got it. Front view. We're going to use the selection mask tool. We're just going to select the bottom of the teeth here. This way I can move other stuff and not move them. So I can move these teeth up and keep the bottom straight. Classic dental work. Let's get our beard visible again, and nope, don't want to select that. Not auto validate. I want to hit save. Well, I take. Will you be streaming today, Cave? He's chewing on that beard. Yeah, for sure. That's not going to work. Let's create a new circle. Delete you. Add a circle. Add sphere. Increase the post subdivision. Validate. Gizmo tool. Bring that up. How are we doing on time? 6:30. We're doing great. 0 drop frames. Streaming to Twitch and to the YouTubes. Nobody on YouTubes, according to this thing. Well, after all the nice things I said about the YouTubes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sam Elliott. Definitely have to hollow out these eyes a bit more. Oh, what did I miss? Oh no, no one has to go over that YouTube's fancy dark mode. I need to do more with the Twitches and all that stuff. I just there's a lot to like about Twitch. I just really also like the YouTube audience. I missed it. They're not here today, but my YouTube subscribers are mostly comics people and not gaming people. So for all I know, streaming this stuff over there is just gonna lose me those folks. But that's fine. Okay, so let's sample this beard color. And select the mustache. All right. So the hair, also have to bring that up. Well, that's a good test to see if I've actually sculpted the skull correctly, as if the hair is going where it's supposed to. Great, great, great. Okay. Do we have any post-processing on? That'll help. I have an inner eyelid on this guy. That's kind of creepy. Don't care for that. Okay. This beard is gonna have to. We'll remesh this. Get some more. Don't crash. Don't crash. We'll save. Oh, save. Yeah, let's use the inflate tool. That might be good here. Big old brush. Like he has, this is skeletal. He's gonna, oh, I don't want to paint. I don't want to paint. He's skeletal, but he has like the vestiges of ears there. How we doing? Yeah, I need to come up with something for channel points for sure. All right, so we're gonna use the clay tool here. We're gonna build up some of this beard. Actually, I think it needs to be even larger. I'm going to start on the sides, I think. And I think those can be somewhat symmetrical. And we're not going to lose much. And once we get me clone the beard at this stage, and now with symmetry off, we'll do some haphazard stuff. I kind of like what I have in the sketch, so I'm going to try to keep that as best I can. So I'm going to use the trim tool now to kind of cut some pieces out. I'm going to save it. I like it so far. Yeah, I've just not done anything with the layout of this thing in such a long time. The most I've done is I've swapped camera positions and a few other things in the environment here, which were just necessities because of rearranging my office. But I'd like to do more. I'd like to have, like, you know, a better Steve will be right back video. I'd like to have some variety there, so it's not always the same thing every single time. The stream is about to start video. I'd like that to be a little more interesting. How we doing? How we doing? I can sip more coffee. Let me check. Check to make sure nothing's blowing up. Ba 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 ba. No, nothing has blown up, thankfully. Okay. I do like the way the jaw in the sketch is a bit askew. Let's see how much further I can get with that. He's got a more prominent brow in the sketch, so I'm going to build that up here. And I gotta do something about those ears. So let's do that. Clay tool on the side. Oh shoot. I'm gonna undo to the point where I built the ear up, because these, I had turned off symmetry for the beard, and since this is connected, I really want these to be connected so that I can bring the hair back. Trim tool. That's what it was. What's happening? Okay, better. I was like, it was not behaving the way I expected it to behave. Alright, let's not bother with that for a moment. Let's see if I can fix this with the brush tool. I'm going to use invert it. Let's dig some shapes in. Symmetry still on? Yes, good. We'll remesh. Let's presume that's part of the problem here. That because I've extended that area out, that just wasn't enough. There we go. That's exactly what it was. Yeah, Cave. I was sculpting a I'm not sure about a villain, but definitely a antagonist. I just wasn't happy with it. It was that definitely had a humanoid face. It was it's a halfling, and I just was not happy with it. Pretty happy with this thing so far. Make that brush bigger. We're using the crease tool now. Let's remesh again. Smooth out these edges before I get in there with the crease tool. And then the opposite of the crease tool here, to build a point in it. This ear needs a little bit of work, so let's bring this out. Let's use the clay tool and we'll build up around it a little bit. I probably should have built these separately and just mirrored them, but what the hell. I'm not sure about that. I mean, actually, if I get any older, I will. And I don't know if I'll get any older. Pretty much even money that I'm just going to fall over dead. So using the crease tool, I'm going to clone the mustache as well. And we'll clone that, hide the original, and then using the crease tool, we're in reverse. Ooh, symmetry off again. Black Flag Adventure Pack released today as well, if you included that add-on with Tales of the Valiant. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I think I heard that some people are actually already building material for Tales of the Valiant, which is exciting. I think last I talked to Dan about it, I think he was going to be an early adopter. I'm going to use the smooth tool here, symmetry back on, just to clean up the sides here a little bit. I'm going to go back in with the crease tool and make these a bit stronger, but I'm going to clone the skull, turn off the original one. I'm going to use the drag tool, and I'm going to turn symmetry off, and we're going to lift this part of the jaw to kind of get that snarl. Symmetry still on. And the clay tool here, going to dig out the inside, just behind the teeth a little bit. There's definitely a step I need to take where I separate the teeth out. Actually, first, let's go back in time here. We're going to remesh that a little bit higher, keeping sharp edges, keeping our teeth sharp-ish. What am I doing? Have I already adjusted these? I think I have. Alright. I was going to be like, why did I do this with symmetry on? But the idea of crease tool here, let's see. Oh, poop. I had those. Those are all peaks and not crevices. Turn that off and we do that again. Better. I could have done this with symmetry on before I moved everything, but I didn't think that far ahead. The same thing with the top teeth here. Ooh. You can see the way it crumbled. I need to remesh it. Basically even out the mesh across the whole thing so that when I dig these things in, it will be a smoother shape. You can see that's much cleaner than it was a moment ago. And so we will take out one tooth, the second tooth on the left. And for the mustache, we're going to do the same thing. I think we already made a duplicate of this mustache. We will do so again. And then we will, like the drawing, we're going to lift up one side of it. Oh, turn symmetry off first. Really try to get that sneer. Oh, I'm not sure why that's not casting shadows in the mouth. The post-processing should be adding more shadows than that. Ambient occlusion. I think that's a fairly close approximation of what the sketch is. It's got the sneer. The nose could be a little larger. I could separate the eyes a little bit. Let's do that while we still can. Again, symmetry still kind of will be wonky at this stage since I've made so many little tweaks. Dan. All right. Good luck to the sport team of your favor. I hope both teams do really well, and I feel really good about themselves. Yeah, the SRD is public. And Dan, oh, that's good. We'll talk more on Saturday. It's good to see you, man. Good luck with your sport. Yeah, the back of this guy's head, it was all fine from one angle. If we were making a gargoyle or a head that's going to go on a wall, this would be fine, but I got to do a lot of other stuff. That ear is also fakakta. So we got the pose pretty much where I want. The beard is close. The sort of tendrils of the beard, because I don't want to call them hair because they're much chunkier than that. They need to be, let's turn symmetry off here. They need to be wilder. I'm not gonna. I think in an early version, I started to try to build those with like tubes, things that would extend out from the figure. Let's turn that. Wait, was symmetry on the whole time? It might have been. I think I just need to build it 3D so that these follicles go all the way around until they connect with the rest of the body. Because I think that will be part of the plan. But I would like them to... I would like them to flare out. So I could adjust the beard sideways. That was a bad move. Because the problem with that, what I just did there was, we were not looking at it from the side. We were looking, well, we're kind of looking at it from the side, but we weren't like dead on from the side. Best way to do this. Let's lasso tool. Okay, we got our back hairline there. All right, all right, all right. I don't hate it. Don't hate it. I haven't ruined everything yet. How to clean up that mess. How to clean up that mess. I could do that with a... Gah! I'm pretty sure that's a Kirby monster. Maybe called It. I could hollow that out with a sphere. But that's been acting wonky since a later update of this software. So let's give it a shot anyway. Let's see what we can do with it. So symmetry off. We're gonna go to the front view. We will create a sphere. We will validate that sphere by saying it's a good sphere. And move it up behind our villain. And we will hide... let's do this. I'm going to move all these... Nope. I want to move all these other bits that I've cloned as backups. Pure cowardice. I'm going to get those out of the way so that I can hide the skull and know which one I'm talking about here. Move this up. Bring it out. Down. And I'm also going to change the color of this thing so we can see it from the, if it's sticking out of the front we can see it. We cannot. All right, and I will turn that invisible, and then I will select the beard, and then I want to save just in case it crashes, and we will voxel remesh nice and high, keeping sharp edges. And it should knock that circle out of the shape. It'll make it red because it was a red object. Multi-resolution will be lost. Sure. It'll leave a red mark on the inside there. Oh, it's thinking about it. Okay, so that's the inside of our beard now. It doesn't have that. Those pieces are a little bit sharper. Sweet. Maybe this was a good idea. I don't know. Let's turn the skull back on. Okay. Let's save. I feel like there's a heck of a lot of progress. 7 o'clock today. We got our pose. We have our sketch of our monster, of our Grognard. We hide our tools. It's a large creature. We got our pose basically. Got the good head tilt on that figure. Charging forward. Big old axe. Big old stack of books. A lot of armor to make. Um, but so far, the face is pretty good. It's going to have a ponytail. I want the beard to be wilder and flying off the face. But we got the sneer. It's hard to see with the selection. Let's go to view. View. There we go. Yeah. A lot of little things to fix. I think what might happen is I might smooth a lot of these things out and then try to add more sharp edges. But if anyone was here, if anybody was here at the beginning of me learning how to do all this stuff, the Melvin's beard was like a 2-month thing. And so far this is going much better. Yeah, it's a bit wonky in places, but I'm absolutely okay with that. Again, this is just my weird stuff. I just like that it doesn't look like everybody else's stuff. The nicest thing that happened so far with sculpting was that I shouldn't have that on now. The nicest thing that happened with sculpting is a photograph I shared today over on the Facebooks and on the Twitscape, which was at Gamehole Con. You know, I've got mini kits made, and nice guy came over, started looking at an older guy came over, started looking at the minis, and bought a set. And I looked down at the guy's badge, and it's Zeb Cook, who's like a legend. Again, these guys are way nicer than they need be. They could have been. So many of the people there could have been real jerks. I'd be like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. You've earned it. But they're all very sweet. Zeb was also super nice. He's very long on the tooth at the bottom. I wonder if I need to adjust those up. Let's look at the bottom jaw here for a moment. I'm going to use the clay tool. We did this before. We can do this again. Let's use a selection mask tool. And we'll use the lasso this time. And we'll just select the tops of the teeth. Some weirdness going on there, but then we'll use the drag tool, small brush, and we'll just, maybe bigger than that. And we'll just move the bottom of the teeth up a little bit. This will shorten the teeth, but leave the tops where they should be by selecting them. Then we can clear the selection once we select the mask tool again. Clear. So low. All right. All right, lovely people. I hope you had a not altogether unpleasant time. Thank you all for being here. YouTubers, thank you for showing up. If you saw this at all, like, subscribe, ring the bell, whatever you have to do. Jump through the flaming hoops. Twitch folks, thank you so much. Check out Cave Geek's stream later on. He streams most of the time, most evenings, and it's a good time is had by all. And have a great night, everybody. If you want to catch me this weekend, Saturday morning, Dan and I stream over at the Zero Level Media channels over on YouTube's and Twitch's. And yeah, I'm gonna hold off on working on this some more until the next stream. I've got some other pieces I can work on for the cleric subclass, and if you want to check it out again, go to prayershandbook.com. The link in the doobly-doo. Fun, nice to see you. Yeah, I think that's striking progress for a 3-hour stream. From no sketch whatsoever to a pose and a halfway decent face so far. I think the whole thing has to be stretched horizontally. I think a little bit, maybe. I don't know. More to do later. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you on Saturday. And again, I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. That's a callback to the beginning of the episode. Now you have to watch the whole thing.